Welcome to the Tech Panel.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The podcast where tech minds meet.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Tech Panel. I'm Em Glasson. We have James Arvin and Matt Finnegan joining us as my co-hosts. Hello guys.
Hey, how we doing?
Good. How are you, Matt?
Oh, we got a little bit of a delay. Classic.
How?
I always used to tell people, like, if you're ever doing a Zoom meeting or
Yeah.
it's not working if there's not a problem. There's
Absolutely.
always got to be a struggle.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, we have a very exciting guest today. So we have the incredible Kalena Stanos, who is the CEO and founder of Lendy. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah.
So excited to have you. And yeah, just to start off, can you tell us a little bit about Lendy?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So I have practiced my elevator pitch many times, but it continues to evolve. So the easiest way to explain what Lendy is we are a rental marketplace for everyday items. So essentially Airbnb for stuff.
Oh, yep.
So yeah, anything that
Amazing.
doesn't require a license at this stage, you can hire through Lendy.
That's pretty cool. What actually started you in this space? Was there something that just sort of like primed your brain where I'm like, we need an app for this, people. This is a problem. Surely I can fix this.
Yeah, well, it's a journey back in time, 2013. I was living in a share house with 7 other girls. We were at uni, living in an old hostel in Cotton Tree here on the coast. Yeah, it's actually still standing, which blows my mind. And there's like a big piece of land out the back that obviously you have to maintain as part of the rental. But, we didn't have any money to buy a lawnmower or pay someone to come and mow it. And we're
True.
like, well, how are we going to do this? So we
Mhm.
struck up a deal with our neighbor and we would hire his lawnmower for like once a month in exchange for like
Yeah.
a 6-pack of beer. It was normally like left behind after a house party or something because we really had like no money, right? Because we're at uni, we're trying to like, we had priorities. We're probably spending out clubbing or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Australian currency.
Yeah, honestly. And he loved it. He was like, this is great. And that was sort of where the seed planted for me, where I was like, why are we not doing this with more things? Like, this just makes so much more sense. And then obviously like Airbnb at the time was
Mhm.
starting to really bloom then.
Mm.
And I then went to Europe and got to use Airbnb. And I was like, oh, well, this is like something that could really work. And then obviously I had a little life to do. I went and studied property economics and property development at uni. So completely different
Wow.
area. And then I was actually reading Sarah Wilson's book called One Wild and Precious Life.
Yeah.
And she talks about, all the current, climate issues that we have at the moment. And I was sitting there 32 weeks pregnant being like, I need to be a solutionist. I need to do something else with my life. And that was when I decided I was like, I'm going to make Lendy happen because I feel like that's a solution.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that is pretty cool.
I literally closed the book. My friend posted this quote and I hit her up and I was like, okay, let's make this happen. Help me out. So yeah, that's how I'm
Wow.
here.
I can totally imagine how this would benefit so many people. As I was coming into the office today, I was kind of imagining like, how did this journey start? And this is where my mind immediately went. I'm having like a small problem. Like my partner was like, can you just build a table? And I was like, yeah, all I got to do to build this table is spend $1,000 on tools that I'll never use again. And my partner's like, no, you're only going to do this once. Surely you're not going to spend all this money on all these tools. So yeah, there's a fantastic opportunity out there. I could have just gone on Lendy and been like, hey, can I borrow these tools for like $20? I'm like, yeah, mate. And I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the idea there is not only is it tackling like a sustainability element, but then cost of living, budgeting, and then also creating connections because you might, be speaking to a tradie who's
Yeah.
just hiring out his stuff on the weekends or whatever it is. And, he might give you some tips on, hey, this is how you build a table or whatever it is.
That's such a good point. Like, try to imagine for a moment all these tradies that are brand new into the industry and they're spending all of this money on their tools and they're already running at a deficit because they're not getting paid a ton of. This is a
Exactly.
great way for them when they're not using their tools to just be like, I can offload some of these tools temporarily on the weekend and just make some cash off of it real quick.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So, for those, couples that are doing a lot of the DIY home renovations, all this sort of stuff, or like camping, I think there's a huge opportunity in tourism as
Yep.
well. People traveling here, if you could go camping, you can hire someone's camping gear, or, you want to go down to the beach, you can hire a whole beach kit.
I didn't even think about it that way.
That's amazing.
I've actually struggled a lot with the camping space. All my Aussie friends are always like, you want to go camping? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to spend
have
$1,000 on
anything.
camping gear.
Yeah, well, it just sits in your garage. I mean, myself included. Like we have all this camping gears, all the best intentions. We go maybe once a year if we're lucky, and it's like such a waste. Someone else should be using that.
Yeah, true,
Yeah.
true. And
Anyway, the sky's the limit. Honestly, now you'll
Oh,
go home and
yeah.
you'll look. Oh, I could do this. I could do this. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
so what are like the classic,
Mm.
what are the most common things that you're seeing people pushing onto Lendy? Like if you're like, "Hey, this is exactly what you're gonna expect when you go into the marketplace right now."
I think at the moment the biggest items were actually around mom gear, or
Oh,
baby gear, I should
wow.
say.
Oh, okay. I was
So
like, I don't know what that is.
yeah, so like prams, yeah, that's fair. I have to readjust that. I'm like, it's because I'm a mom. I'm like, oh, it's mom gear, but I'm like, no, it's parents. Come on,
Just
little
do some
girl.
quick Googling on the side.
Yeah, what is that? yeah. So like prams, car seats, porta cots, things like that, because huge, obviously, for either new moms who are struggling financially. Sometimes babies become as a bit of a surprise.
Mhm.
Or testing out certain products because some kids don't like certain things, and they're really expensive. Like it's such like a cost thing, or like you might be between babies. Anyway, we've just noticed, and then obviously traveling as well. Big one.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And I guess that it's so crazy that you can like you've created and used tech, but also you can all like you sort of feel part of the community
Yeah, well, that's
as
what
well.
that was like
Which
what
is
really important to me. Like trying to create something that's modern and tangible
Yeah.
for people and familiar, because obviously tech is, that's the way of the future. That's where we're at now. But I think what we're all missing as like, humanity is that connection piece.
Yep.
So I think being able to like
Yeah.
blend those is super powerful.
You raise a
Yeah.
good point there. So this is obviously a newer system, right?
Yes.
How long has it been on the market today?
So we have had our MVP live for just over a year. So
For people that are not familiar to SaaS in technology, what is an MVP?
oh yeah, thank you. It's me. No, no. So minimum viable product. So it's basically just all the basic features, be able
Mhm.
to use it, basically proof of concept, and make sure that people are able to understand it and give us that feedback so that we can then build something that they're gonna want to use and continue to grow with. So that was really important for us. So instead of going and investing a whole bunch of money in an app straight away,
Yep.
which I knew would be the step, because as soon as I told people what we were creating, they're like, "Oh, is it an app?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have an app yet. Like, just give me a minute." But so what we did is we went with a white label online marketplace, and we created Lendy through that, and because that was financially made it easier for us to be able to do that straight away.
Yeah.
And we had control over it, and it had all the elements that we needed to create that proof of concept and get people familiar with what we were trying to create. And that was a huge success. We got so much feedback from that
Oh, wow.
time. And even for me, like I had a few lens myself, and I was like, "Oh, I actually don't know what I'm doing. How do I?" And I was like, "This is really good for me." So a lot of learning, which is what that's for, right?
True.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just like a quick question from me from the I guess from the audience. As we're a tech pod, I'm really fascinated when companies kind of release new products and have MVPs and take feedback from their audience. How have you guys kind of received the feedback? Are you using any data analytics? Is it kind of just word of mouth? Like, what's influencing you to actually build the way you're building?
So it's a bit of a combo. So we've been
Yep.
really fortunate that a lot of the people that sort of jumped on straight away are people that we know within our network. So we've been able to meet with them face to face, have those one-on-one conversations, which really ties back into our value system of connecting real people. I ran a focus group online, my first focus group ever. We'll never do again because it was Zoom and it froze, and there were people waiting online and they couldn't get in. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So, but that was a really good session. And it was, we had chosen, specific demographics, and I ended up just with 3 guys, but it was actually really great to get their feedback. And I learned so much just from that space. So we've done some focus groups. Obviously that one was just a funny example. And then, getting the direct feedback via email and using it ourselves as well. Because we all sort of jumped on there.
And what kind of feedback did you hear? Was it anything surprising you that you were like, "Oh, didn't think of that," or that was definitely not the direction we had intended for the company?
I think it was mostly around like the communication on the process and our value system more than anything. I think people they wanted to love it, but they needed to understand like, okay, so when this happens, what happens next? When does the money get taken? Where does it, like, how does insurance work? Who's contacting us? There was a bit of a miscommunication with a business, and she thought that we were like a rental business ourselves, and she thought that we weren't getting
Right.
back to her, and she got really upset. And I had to go, okay, well, obviously, like, I can see why she was upset because this wasn't clear. So
Yep.
just a few more of like the communication elements, I think. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why we really tried to shift our focus on our socials and just on our website into like just to really give simple instructions and understanding of what we're trying to do, and then refining and making everything really seamless because there was a lot of clunkiness with the exchange and things like that. That's what especially even me, I was like, how do we end this thing? So yeah, it was great learning.
Really
For
interesting. And
sure.
I'm fascinated because I imagine a lot of kind of companies that enter the market, they want to go quickly. They want to release a product as fast as possible. And it seems like you guys have been really patient. You've kind of, had a closed beta, getting the feedback and been really tactical until you release it. I guess, can you talk a bit about kind of the importance of patience in getting it right before you kind of unleash to the world?
Yeah, of
And
course.
maybe explain what a closed beta is as well for our audience who are not familiar with these terms, if you can.
Yes. I also don't know what that means. I'm sure that's what I'm doing, but no. Yeah, for those listening, I am new to tech myself, which is very fun. Yeah. So, in terms of going a little bit slower and being patient, it was really important for us to build a really solid foundation. And I think one of the Airbnb co-founders, he even said, it's better to have 100 people who love you rather than 1,000 people who kind of like you. And I've watched so many businesses and even people who are in this space who have tried to do what we're doing. They've gone really quickly. They've just kind of banking on this really great idea, and they just like throw it at, the people and hope that it's just going to stick. And I don't see them doing well, or have failed, or they've had to close down because they've exhausted all their funds because they haven't taken the time to go really learn what it is that their target audience wants, who that target audience is. I think they just think, oh, it's everybody. And learning a little bit more about how to create a service that has a why behind it. I think they just kind of looking, I think that's what sets us apart. Or I like to think so anyways, because we're really going in with a passion of why and trying to go with purpose rather than just wanting to be the next, millionaire or whatever, because that's not really what we're in it for. We're in it to make a difference and create real connections and be solution.
Yeah. That clarity is going to make the process
Yeah.
infinitely easier for you as well. Like you don't want to be a jack of all trades. You want to be gold at one thing, make people really resonate with that product.
Yes.
And Finny and I, we've been working in tech for years now, and we see that all the time with developers. They're just like, get content in front of your customers, and the customers are like, what's happening here?
Yes. Yeah.
What exactly do you do?
Yes. It gets very confusing. Yeah. Yeah.
Help me understand here, right?
Yep.
I've never actually seen this tool, and we're going to be surprised by this as we go through this journey with you as well. If I've never seen it, help customers visualize what the experience is going to first be like. If they were to log on to Lendy right now, what is the user experience? What are they first doing? How do they get that information or systems out there to be lended out to other various parties?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So you jump on, and we've made it so that it's accessible. We don't want people to be, no gatekeeping. Like, we want you to be able to explore the app so that you can understand what's on there and make sure that it's something that you're going to want to use. And then so you'll be taken to the marketplace. You can see what's there. And then if there's something you see, oh, I really want to hire that. As soon as you click in, obviously it'll lead you to creating an account.
Sure.
And then that's a really simple process. We really encourage people to create an account that you would rent from, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's nothing worse than someone who doesn't have a profile picture and like no bio, and you're like, I'm not gonna loan you my kayak. So there's that, and then obviously, like, once you've created an account, there is certain subscription tiers. So either you can use the app for free, but obviously, as the subscriptions sort of go up, there are opportunities to have more features, have reduced rates, all those sorts of things. And then there's also a business subscription, which is really cool because we don't want to leave rental businesses in the dark, because we also believe that they're part of the community.
Sure.
And to be honest, it's really hard to find rental businesses online because they get lost in Google, they get lost on Instagram, and it's like I know that, and there's such a high outlay for them as well, for websites and trying to like navigate like marketing and all the like keeping up with Google ads and all that sort of stuff. Whereas with Lendy, I feel that we'll be able to allow them that exposure because people are on there specifically for rentals.
I think the thing here that really excites me, and I'm not sure how many people out there are still familiar with like the old days of Amazon, is when you first went on Amazon, the thing that made it so special is everyone out there had the ability to have a say on the quality of the product, which was like,
Mhm.
oh my God, now I don't have to rely on like whatever's happening in the marketing space that's overwhelming me with way too much content.
Yes.
Whereas your system's going to be at that grassroots approach again, where people could say, Trent just loaned me this tool and it's fantastic. It was super great. He gave it to me really easily. And that user experience is going to, I think, resonate really well with customers that are going to be able to, again, draw back to those earlier days where people want to actually find that experience with.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So there'll be review systems and we'll encourage people to, because that's how it's going to grow and that's how your profile will expand. Because we really want to empower people to go turn this into an income stream because it's really expensive to live right now.
Yeah.
Like,
So true.
people are struggling. So it's like, why not, turn this into an opportunity?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
And just like one question in terms of being a business leader,
Mhm.
CEO
Mhm.
and founder,
Yeah.
can you think of like one challenge that has stood out within the process of starting?
Oh gosh, there's so many.
How much time do you have?
Yeah. I was like, did we pack our sleeping bags? No. So I guess for me, on a personal level, I'd say, because I became a mom and a business owner, 2 roles I'd never done, and I did them simultaneously at the same time. And so I'm learning to be in both those roles at the same time. And my husband works away, so there's a
Mhm.
lot of mental game
Yeah.
that has
That's
to happen there.
wild.
That's like a
Absolutely.
strength. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like, and like trying to go to networking and make meetings and all this sort of stuff. Like my son got really sick last year. We were in the hospital for like a month. I'm like in the parents' room, like putting together a presentation to try and get in touch with for our meeting with council. I had to run down to the pub and like have a meeting with this guy. It just like, so there's a lot of balancing. So I think for
Yeah.
me, that's probably on a personal level. But in terms of business, I think people, without going into it too much, I had, I had co-founders in the beginning, and that was a little bit challenging. People sort of can tend to oversell themselves and not deliver or not want to put in the risk. And you sort
Sure.
of learn about that and learn about people and learn a lot about yourself as well and how to
Yeah.
deal with those things because they're uncomfortable. But they're conversations you have to have if you want to make something happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I guess, what about in terms of starting the app? What would be one of the biggest challenges you've had, like
Ooh,
tech-wise?
Yeah. So tech-wise,
Yeah.
learning about what's all involved. So
Yeah.
we found this godsend. He's actually from Hawaii like me, which is so cool. So we really connected on that. And he's been fantastic, but he's also used it as a bit of a learning opportunity for himself to use Flutter, which is what we're using. So,
Yeah.
which has been really great. So he was able to do it at a cost that was great for us as a startup. And so we've gotten to a point now where he's sort of reached the max of his abilities, I
Okay.
guess. And
Yeah.
so now I'm like, oh, okay, well, I thought this whole thing was going to be like ready now.
Yeah.
And we've got all the marketing like ready and we've got like giveaways and all this stuff sort of sitting there. And so now it's learning. I learned, this is probably laughable for most people, but I learned like 2 weeks ago that there is a difference between a back-end developer and a front-end developer.
Oh, amateur hour.
I know,
My
seriously.
partner just died inside.
I know. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, should I say that? But I'm gonna be fully transparent. But this is but it's just how you learn, right? Now I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So now we're, navigating and looking at finalizing with some other teams and moving to an agency, which is gonna be great because we need a support system.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that learning and it's super exciting. And yeah, I feel like now I know.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And if there's like, again, anyone sort of new on the line, sort of listening in, what are some of the things that you're like, if you're going to be leaving this conversation, I want you to remember this about this product? Do you have any certain elements come to mind?
That
was a hardball question,
That's a
sorry.
really great question. I'm like, oh man, my mind is like, I have so many things I want to say. Should I leave with a quote? Honestly, I think it's probably a little bit more around my passion as to why I started it, which
Sure.
is around climate change and creating a solution that really works. And I really feel that going back to a circular economy is so important. It really is the only way I see us moving forward. And so I see Lendy as a real opportunity for everyone to go back to that connection, tackling that cost of living, but also tackling sustainability.
Yeah,
That's
true.
for
I
me, that's
love
what I really
that.
see as our benefit. Yeah.
Have you found that, I guess, being a purpose-driven company, a lot of the early users are kind of similar minded? They're very community-based, very purpose-driven. Because I can almost imagine, like, it is actually forming a community of like-minded people, and like maybe people are going to hang out together or become friends together through this.
Mm.
So yeah, just curious, kind of, was that something you expected as well?
Yes. Yeah. So I guess actually this was another learning curve for me. In the beginning, I was really trying to push to sell it to, the people that I was sort of told that they were going to get me somewhere, the business people. And I go to angel investors and tell them ideas. And I felt like it was just like so energy draining because these people weren't quite in the same headspace as to seeing its potential
Mhm.
in terms
Yeah.
of the purpose. Whereas we've shifted gears and really started to connect with our people like-minded, like you said. And since then, we have just been like inundated with support and like this huge network that's really growing. And so I believe that once the app has launched, that those people are really gonna hold us and be that 100 people that love us and be our cheerleaders and, be part of that community. And then the rest will follow.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's good to always have a core base of people out there that can
absolutely.
support the growth of the business versus going out there. I like coming from the grassroots.
Yes, yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Any-
I think, again, if we've got anyone else on the line, can you give us a quick, short summary again of what the product is? What are some of the greatest features? Why are people going to love this tool before they walk away from this conversation?
Okay. So it is a rental marketplace for everyday items. So if you look around your home, you're going to start seeing things that they may have been a hobby that, didn't come to fruition but you're still holding on to hope. You don't want to sell, but you are happy to share. Or if you've got things or you need to put some extra money in your bank account, you can look around your house, put those things up on Lendy and rent them out to your local community or people who are visiting, or vice versa. You might have a project, your wife might need you to build a table or whatever it is. There's an opportunity for you to be able to do that without breaking the bank. But then also an opportunity to connect with like-minded people. And then also, if you want to expand from there and you go, hey, I've got this really cool niche, I can create a business on Lendy. There's an opportunity to do that with a really low cost, just by subscribing to the business subscription.
I still think that's so awesome. And if there's anyone out there listening, thinking to myself, I don't think this is right for me, check your garage again.
Honestly,
Yeah.
so many people are like, I've got a kayak. Can I put a kayak? I'm like, yes, kayak sups. They're like I reckon they're going to be like all over it.
I totally, like, I'm right now thinking, like, I bought a surfboard and I was like, I'm totally going to learn how to surf. I went out there and I was like, this is dangerous. I'm going back, hanging out on the beach.
But you don't want to let it go because you're like, I'm going to do it one day. So it's like, cool. Like, you can still keep the dream, but
Seriously.
share it with
Yeah.
others. Yeah.
Kalena,
Yes.
can I, just really curious, like,
Mhm.
what would be a couple of tips of advice that you would give a new business leader that is like in the middle of, starting their tech business or even hasn't started yet or even at the end of their app,
Yeah.
What would be some advice for
I think the biggest piece for me, and this might sound a little bit, woo-woo or whatever, but I honestly believe that going with your gut instinct. If I think Stephen Bartlett posted a quote about it a while ago, and it still like plays in my mind every time I didn't listen to my gut feeling. Is if the immediate answer is no, unpack the deal. It's a no. Unpack the details later, because there's been every time that I've run up against an issue or a speed bump, generally, no, every single time. In the initial like decision of that, whatever that is, there was a no that came up for me. And I still pushed through it and I was like, oh no, came up with excuses and made it happen. But it was listen to that because I think that there's real value there. There's something there that's speaking, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really good advice.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's something that I've learned time and time again. And I keep being like, okay, why did I not listen? So now I'm really trying to tune into that. And I feel like it's, when you do, you end up getting rewarded because something else, whatever it is that you're trying to solve, it will come.
Yep.
And something else might lead you in a different direction.
That's exactly
as
right.
well.
Yeah.
That's
So
so
I feel like that would be
cool.
my advice.
I love that.
I think it's so easy as well. We're all guilty of this. As soon as you run into like a challenge where you're like, all right, this is just too much of an issue. I think I got to pull out. if you just drive past that, you may find that this is really gonna explode with value for people, and it's gonna be something that's worthwhile.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. Like anytime I come up with against something that's really challenging, like a challenging time, right? Life is like a circle. There's,
Yeah.
ups and downs. And when I'm in like that really terrible time where I'm like, I just want to check out. I'm over. Like
Yeah.
this is like pull the plug.
Yeah.
It's like, no, just keep going, keep going. Like I recognize that there's always some sort of like reward at the end of like pushing through that. Every time like something happens, I'll get a phone call, be like, come and talk on this, tech panel podcast or something.
Yeah.
Like opportunities come through those like harder times. And I feel like, the fact that I've been able to grow this from nothing and have no idea about
Mhm.
tech is just like blows my mind. I think like, yeah, like, that's a big message too, is just keep pushing. And like, if you've got the vision, make it happen, and you can.
If you had the opportunity to go back in time to speak to your younger self before you did this,
Yes.
what would be the big feedback, or you'd prepare that younger version of self, your younger self? It's a
I think
tongue
I
tie.
get where you're
Yeah,
going.
yeah, I'll save you here.
That's all right. I'll save you.
Love
Yeah.
it.
I feel like I probably would tell myself to get started sooner. Do it before you even get done. But you can do it. I think that would be the big message is you can do this.
Yep.
You're smarter than you think. You've got the capability. Like you don't have to know how to do everything. You just have to find the right people who've got the same vision and
Yeah,
create a
absolutely.
team. That's what I've learned in this position. It's about people and it's about creating a team. You don't have to do it all.
And what if it wasn't just you? What if it was someone else that was like, you know what? I have another great idea for an app too. I'm going to go through this. Like, what kind of feedback would you give that person who's thinking about going down the same journey as you?
I feel like this is good because my husband's friend has got this idea and he's like flying over to Japan to go. Like he's like, oh, I'm going to speak to these tech companies, and I'm like,
Don't do it.
I was like, have you written it? I was like, have you done a business plan? He was like, no. And I was like, honestly, I think that's the best thing you can do. Do a business plan. If you can sit through and create a comprehensive business plan, then you have the patience to actually go and do the rest of it. Because they're actually kind of like a bit tedious, and they make you really think and tease out your business and what your plan is and where you're headed. Because if you don't have that roadmap, where are you going? Like if you don't have a strategy, I don't think you're going to get anywhere, because you need to have, it can always change, but you need to have like a bit of a roadmap as to know like, okay, these are our goals. This is where we're headed. So I feel like if someone were to be starting out, do your research, take the time to do, the uncomfortable work of like, okay, what are my weaknesses? I know nothing about tech. Okay, so how are you going to fix that? What are you going to do to make that? Yeah, I think that would be,
I love
I
that
think,
so much. And I feel like, oh, sorry, you go, Matt.
Yeah, I think just like hearing you talk, something's just kind of clicked that kind of as Uber, and there's like full-time Uber drivers, like that's their career. Like there could potentially be like full-time Lendys where
yes, that's the dream.
like has that kind of like hit you yet, that you could be essentially employing people who might be doing things they're not enjoying right now, or doing it tough? Like this could be like an income, a career for them.
Absolutely. I think for me, something that I learned when I stepped away from my career and became a mom, being at home and not having that income that was mine, that I had earned, was a huge ego hit for me. Like I had been working since I was 13. I was like, what am I? And it's not that, my husband's like, oh, we're all good. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not all good. Like I don't have something that I'm earning. And so I think that's someone that I can relate to, that's sitting at home, wants to be doing something and have that sense of, financial independence. And so, yeah, that exactly it. Like thinking about those people who are either in the tough spot, need to find a way to, create a business for themselves that they can operate on their terms by using what they have. That's the big thing. You don't have to go and spend all this money. You can use what you have and just start growing. And so we really want to try and help facilitate that, like, mindfulness around money as well, and how you can grow with Lendy, and really support them in that, and then hopefully transition them into being business owners on Lendy. And exactly,
No,
that's
that's
exactly where my dream.
yeah. I'm about to go to my garage and get my my roller skates right now ready.
Me too.
Yes.
I'm totally going to give it
Me
a crack
too.
as well.
Yeah.
Surely someone out there wants this surfboard for rental.
Well,
Have you-
we've got a calculator on our website at the moment that people can use as a bit of like an idea space to start working out. Okay, how much can I earn? Like once the app is launched, I can go on and be like, okay, I want to hire this out, $20 for the week and I
Sure.
want to hire it out for 4 weeks of the year, whatever it is. You can choose those and it'll pop out those numbers and you can start, creating a bit of an idea of how much money you can earn with just the stuff sitting around your house. Get people excited and get in that headspace.
I love it. And what is the subscription model, just so users are aware?
Yeah, sure. So the basic subscription.
We're both doing it now.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
You pass it on
It's
to
rubbed
me.
off.
Yeah. So you can use the app for free, which we encourage people to do just to make sure that it's something that's going to work for you. But then moving into the basic, the basic allows you to have a Lendy cover, which is basically up to $500 replacement cover if something were to go wrong with your item. And that's going to be
There's
like,
insurance built in.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. I thought it was just sort
we're
of
not
on your
allowed
own.
to use the word insurance because we don't have an insurance license. So we're not operating as an insurance provider, but it's
Okay.
part of our service.
Okay.
So because we want to create that, obviously the dream is to get a underwriter because that's the goal. But baby steps. We have to exist first, and we have to have those numbers for them, which is that's fine. And so the goal is to keep the basic, which we haven't finalized the numbers yet, but something around the like $5 mark, like coffee. Like cost of coffee for the month, like
Okay.
$5 for the month, just to have the basic.
Mhm.
And then the middle, there's a big list, but the transaction fees will be reduced.
Okay.
But then you also get to have unlimited listings. So I think the basic, we have unlimited listings as well. And then the Lendy cover goes up in value. So I think it goes up to like $1,000.
Cool.
Yeah. And then the business will be for businesses only, but they get to have a little bit more freedom on their profile where they can create packages and have a little bit more freedom on their homepage, so they can edit it to sort of suit their branding to a degree. So that does that answer your question?
No, it definitely does.
Okay, go.
And who are your like target customers as well? Like, if you had an audience, there's thousands of people out there listening. Like, if you're this person, this is the right thing for you. Are you looking for anyone like that right now?
I feel like for me, the people that we've seen engage with us the most have been moms because they're sitting at home and they're looking for that financial freedom, like I said.
Yep.
And they've been really engaged with the service and because they can see the benefits for them, which I think is really great. So, but that doesn't mean that it's limited to moms. That's just who we've seen engage with it. I think if you're anyone who is looking to, enhance your experience, whether you're overseas, well, I say overseas, that's the goal, but, whether you're visiting the Sunshine Coast and you want to hire out XYZ, jump on Lendy, or, if you have things sitting around your home and you're happy to share and you want to reconnect with people, this is for you.
Yeah.
And if you want to be part of the solution in terms of sustainability, there's nothing more sustainable than using what we already have.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Kalena, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you.
I feel like I've learned so much about all of this of you guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm still like thinking to myself, like, I could totally make some money on so much garbage in my garage right now.
That's exactly
I'm gonna be a millionaire.
Yeah.
And also I also feel like, and I'm sure our listeners would as well, like super inspired after speaking with you, because also I love that you touched on that you don't need to know, like, if you're starting a business, you don't need to know absolutely everything. You can find people for that to help you, like, I guess, achieve your vision.
Yes. Oh, totally. Yeah.
And just lastly, where can listeners find you and find Lendy?
Probably the best place to follow us at the moment would be our Instagram, which is Hello Lendy. That's where we're really sharing a lot about our why and who we are and our story and our journey. So start there, and all of our information is on there as well. So.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you so
you.
much.
This
Real
is
pleasure.
great.
All right. Well, everyone, have a wonderful time, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to The Tech Panel. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Stay connected and keep up with all the latest in tech.